Week 16 sees the return of Ezekiel Elliott and the end of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. We'll answer questions such as whether the Steelers and Seahawks are truly done after devastating losses, who are our current playoff picks, including Super Bowl favorites, and of course we'll provide in-depth analysis on every key game for Week 16 with the latest trends, injury updates, odds, and picks as OFN NFL Preview with Tony Mejia on the Our Football Radio Network starts now. All right, thanks for tuning in to OFN NFL Preview for Week 16 in the NFL with Tony Mejia, independent sports columnist and exclusive handicapper at VegasInsider.com for this Friday, December 22nd, 2017. So how's everything going, Tony? Playoff football almost here.
Playoff football almost here. Basketball in full swing, so very busy, but things are great. How about you?
Things are going well. I also like the fact that that even though there aren't a lot of a game here and a game there as far as bowls, there are a lot of big college basketball games I noticed, or decent college basketball games tonight. So that's nice. I mean, I don't like it when they take off they used to have the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas, and they used to have more football, but now it's like solely NBA. I know you love that, being an NBA guy, but I don't know. I kind of miss football on Christmas too.
Yeah, no, the Hawaii Bowl used to be the staple there, and I guess somebody said something because they moved it.
Yeah, but at least this year we do have a couple of Monday Christmas games, which is a little bit unusual, but that works to our benefit, right? So we've got
no doubt.
not just one Monday night game, but we have two Monday games on Christmas. We'll get to that a little bit later on. We do want to start the show, first of all, though, by offering our condolences on the death of legendary broadcaster Dick Enberg. I don't know about you, Tony, but when I think of Enberg, I think about being a teenager, watching Enberg and Merlin Olsen doing classic NFL games, including games like the 1986 championship game, and not just for the moment, of course, of calling the drive, but just kind of, I don't know, when you hear these opens, it just brings back some really cool memories.
She's 56 years old now, the giant horseshoe lady on the banks of wind-blown Lake Erie. Cleveland Stadium, the longtime home of the Cleveland Browns. A capacity, 80,000 fans. Fans today who have been described as desperately hungry for a winner. It's been a full generation of time since the Browns won their last NFL title in 1964. In fact, that win does represent the last major championship that these Cleveland fans have cheered in any sport. And they believe they're on their way to Pasadena. Hello, everyone. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. Welcome to our AFC Championship game. We talked about the quarterbacks earlier, and I could just feel your blood coursing through your veins. Your juices were flowing.
Dick, I may have to body slam Greasy a little later to get in the mood of things. And, of course, the defenses love to intimidate young quarterbacks. These two young quarterbacks are not intimidated.
Those 2 years, of course, for Browns fans, they felt they were so close, Tony, to winning a championship. And I can imagine any of the Browns fans listening right now going, man, we thought we were going to win, and then next year we were going to win, and now they can't even win a game.
Yeah, I mean, they're going on quarterback number, 50?
since Bernie.
So, yeah, it's what it is. So, but, yeah, I mean, Enberg obviously was a staple growing up, and one of those guys that he added to the broadcast regardless of the sport that he was calling. So, somebody that you look forward to listening to, and may rest in peace.
All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it as we have some big games. No Thursday night game, which is the reason why we are doing the show on a Friday this week. Or just one of the reasons. And Atlanta and New Orleans is going to kick off our schedule as our top game of the week. Big matchup in the NFC. And really, this also I wanted to bring this up as we go into this game because we still don't know who's going to win this division. The playoff race is wide open in a couple of areas in both the AFC and the NFC. So what do you think before we get into this game, Tony? How do you see this? Not only, I'm assuming whoever wins this game, especially if it's New Orleans, is going to have a major edge because they're already up one game on Atlanta. So that'll be it for Atlanta's chances of winning the South. But do you think New Orleans is going to get it done, or do you like Carolina to win the South?
I mean, we'll see. Obviously, a ton depends on this game. I've got New Orleans winning my NFC in my current projection. So
That's your NFC champion. Okay.
That's my NFC champ for the second consecutive week. And yeah, ideally they would hold serve here and be in the mix there for for potential first round bye. Obviously, they would need help in Minnesota falling, but to me, they've got a shot at taking out this division. This will be their. I thought they should have won the first meeting 2 weeks ago, and then I think they carry that chip on their shoulder here.
Yeah, Kamara. I mean, they almost won the game without Kamara, and Drew had that awful interception in the end zone when all they had to do was kick a field goal to go to overtime. So Atlanta's now beaten the Saints 3 consecutive times. And including that win, they were a 2-point favorite in that game. The Falcons were. Falcons can clinch a playoff berth with a win. The Saints can clinch the South with a win and a Carolina loss, but they also clinch a playoff berth with a win. So whoever wins this game clinches a playoff berth. Part of the reason why I'm not as convinced of that I was a month ago that New Orleans could win the Super Bowl is the fact that they are just losing too many defenders. Some other teams I think could deal with it, but I just think for New Orleans to be a true Super Bowl championship team this year, I really thought that they were going to need as many of those key defenders. And we're not talking about superstars. Cam Jordan's still there. Lattimore's having a fantastic year, still there. But, you lose Okafor. You started off by losing a rookie Anzalone who was going to be a big part of the defense. Now you lose A.J. Klein. That's and even on offense, you're losing Kobe Fleener. He's not Graham, I get that, but that's still a part of that offense that really the passing game comes down to Michael Thomas now, and it's all about the running game and Ingram and Kamara. But look, you have Drew Brees, you can have a great chat. I do love this game. I love it, but I do like the game a lot. I do like the Saints, so I think they win. It's a 5.5-point spread. And I just don't know whether Atlanta, to tell you the truth, is going to get into the playoffs. I just don't, because I don't think they're beating the Carolina Panthers next week either. I think if Atlanta gets in, they're going to have to get help from the other teams that are chasing them.
Well, they got help from the officiating to stay alive in this first meeting. They had 9 first downs by penalty in that game, which is unheard of. And then obviously there was, between that and the Kamara concussion on the first possession, I thought that the Saints asserted their dominance because they almost overcame all those factors. If Brees, doesn't lose his mind and make a really horrible decision there at the end. While Klein and Kenny Vaccaro being out are a concern, I do think there's enough on both sides of the ball to get this win. Larry Warford trying to get through concussion protocol to shore up that offensive line, but even that unit is healthier than it's been in weeks. So long as he plays, I like their chances here.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the Saints beating the Falcons with some of their key guys out on defense. But can they get to the Super Bowl? Sure. With Wentz out, that opens up the door. There's a really distinct possibility that they're going to face Carolina in the first round. I mean, that looks like that could very well happen because the Saints could be number 4, Carolina could be number 5. And that would be now I like Carolina to come out of the NFC right now. And matter of fact, they're my pick to win the Super Bowl as of today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, these NFC playoffs are going to be fantastic. I mean, they really are. It'll be interesting to see odds-wise, like who. We'll probably see home teams favored, but it won't be the end-all, be-all.
No.
In terms of that, because there is the potential matchups. You could see a lot of 3-point spreads, 2.5-point spreads.
Yeah, and nobody's going to be surprised who wins any game. It's going to be completely wide open. But yeah, keep in mind the Saints are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games, so there is that. Julio Jones is dealing with those ankle and thumb injuries. Of course, he's going to play. Tevin Coleman comes back after the concussion. Next week, New Orleans and Tampa, which is another good reason to believe that the Saints, if they take care of business in this one, should be able to wrap up the division, even if Carolina wins their game, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Atlanta's won 5 out of 6. Saints just 2-2 in their last 4. So Saints, again, 5.5. I think we both like them in this game. Let's move on to the Rams in Tennessee. And Rams coming off the huge win last week over Seattle. They're a 6.5-point favorite at Tennessee. I said last week I thought Tennessee, there was a shot that Tennessee would not win another game the rest of the year, and I'm really feeling even more the case that that's going to happen because they got through the one game that I thought was probably going to be the one game that they could win, and they weren't able to get it done against San Francisco. So they're in trouble because they got to play the Rams this week, and the Rams have not even clinched the West yet. And so this is a big game for the Rams. Rams are just a better team than they are right now. And then next week, they play a Jacksonville team that unless they play Jacksonville where Jacksonville's already, say, clinched the division, there's nowhere like they've got the third spot either way, the game means nothing. Then if Jacksonville needs the game for any reason, I think Tennessee's in big trouble. So I don't even know if Tennessee's going to win another game. I like the Rams in this one.
I mean, Mariota has been so spotty this season. A lot of it has been health related, but I mean, he moved them downfield, to where they should have gotten that game last week, and then obviously couldn't stop Garoppolo there on the final drive. They've had issues in that secondary that has been taken advantage of, and in the 13-7 loss or 12-7 loss to Arizona, there were opportunities there on offense to the point where you really don't feel sorry for this group if they do collapse and end up missing the playoffs. So, because even with two home games, right now they're looking like a team that's going to be on the outside looking in.
And by the way, Logan Ryan, who left the game last week in the second quarter with an ankle injury, it's not looking good right now for him to play.
Yeah.
Because unless he goes out there and at least gets some practice time today, he's probably not going to go because he hasn't practiced the last two games. And then LaShawn Sims pulled a hamstring in practice on Wednesday. Those are their starting corners. So
and it's an already inexperienced group, shaky, and then you're facing the Rams.
Yes.
So sure.
Yeah. So
writing on the wall there.
Yeah. Bad sign for Tennessee. By the way, Tennessee can clinch a playoff berth if Baltimore and Buffalo lose and they win. But
right.
Don't really think that that's going to happen. But you never know. Greg Zuerlein's out for the year. I'm not sure that will affect them in this game, but could affect them in the postseason. And again, if the Rams win this game, they can clinch the division if Seattle loses as well. All right, so next game is Buffalo and New England. Buffalo getting a nice win against Miami last week to separate those two teams. So Buffalo's the team that's still in, has a shot, a true shot. And I don't know if they're going to have to win two games. They could lose this game and still get to the postseason, especially if Tennessee loses their last two, which I think we both think could very well happen. So I don't really look at this as a must-win, but you get the feeling if Buffalo wins this game somehow, that they're going to find a way to get in to the postseason for the first time in 17 seasons. Now, what I like about this game a lot is I like the way the Bills have really responded since the whole situation with taking Taylor out that week. And they've rebounded nicely. They had the win in Kansas City. They overcame the elements against the Colts. They won last week, and they go to New England 3 years straight that they have been very, very tough in New England. They have won 2 out of 3 at Foxborough. They're 2-0-1 ATS in those 3 games. So this is an environment that hasn't been an issue for Buffalo. They've actually had better success here in New England than they have at home in Buffalo. So whatever happened in Buffalo a few weeks ago, don't worry about that. If you're a Bills fan or if you're thinking about taking the Bills, who have won 3 out of 4 since that loss against the Chargers, with the only loss being that Patriot loss. So you know what? I like the Bills in this game. It's a 12-point spread. I'm going to go ahead and take the points. And I'm actually thinking about maybe even throwing something on the money line at 4-1.
I mean, Patriots coming off a short week, but to me, I think that because they were handed that great opportunity to now hold serve and make sure that the entire AFC postseason comes through Foxborough, I don't see them letting that go. I mean, it was a huge break considering they should have been behind. Should have been Pittsburgh in the number 1 seed. A lot of should haves there, but that's the way it boiled down. As far as Buffalo, they played Kansas City at their lowest point to get that win right after the Peterman fiasco and the Chargers loss. They played a bad Colts team, beat them 13-7, and a bad Dolphins team. So Brady didn't really have to do much in the 23-3 win. So to me, I think the Patriots dominate this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still even though New England won last week, and I hear where you're coming from as far as being able to escape that game, and that's what champions do and such. We talked about the game going in and not really sure about what we would see from the Patriots offensively because they didn't look very good the week before. Weren't really sure about Brady and all that. And yeah, look, Brady did what he always does when he had that opportunity to march down the field and win the game, and he did it, and that's what Brady does. But for the most part, that offense didn't have a great game. And so I look at that and I go, okay, well, I mean, we talked about them struggling kind of coming into the game. I don't think their offense did a whole lot to impress me during the game. So I'm still not sure that the Patriots are where they need to be offensively. And I don't know. I mean, again, I just got a little bit of a feeling that Buffalo is going to make this interesting. And I need to see New England have that blowout win. If they have that blowout win, then
sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
Burkhead is out, right?
Yeah, so
possibly
the former Bill comes in. If you're playing fantasy in championship week and Mike Gillislee is sitting on the waiver wire, you might want to pick him up and start him. It's not a bad idea.
This is also the Gronk rematch with the
Yes,
White.
It is. Yeah.
So and to me, I mean, he's obviously the difference. I'm not worried about the Patriots offense if Gronk is involved because he's the X factor. He gets to be Brady's security blanket, and then that allows Tom to see what teams are doing to shade coverage that way and take advantage with other receivers. I think he's the key to it all. So with him getting to go, I think it'll be key to see how he responds. Because he said he got frustrated in that game. That was the reason for the outburst. So,
well,
we'll see how he handles this one.
Yeah, we'll see if he gets frustrated again, and that's exactly what the Bills. That's what you want to do if you're Buffalo is frustrated.
Right.
Look, win or lose this game, I think Buffalo is going to find a way to get into the postseason again because I think Tennessee is going to lose their last two. I think Buffalo is going to win at least 1 out of 2, and that's going to open the door for another team to come in, and that includes Buffalo hanging in for one of those 2 spots. So I don't know about you. You kind of think Buffalo is going to make it or not?
I mean, at this point, it depends on Tennessee because I think, I am in the boat where it's looking more and more like they're going to lose their last 2 games, and then that opens up a whole other spot. So you've got your Baltimore, you have the Chargers, and all in there. So yeah, I mean, the Bills are right there. I don't see them winning this game, so it's going to come down to Week 17.
All right, now let's talk about a big game in the NFC between the 8th seed Seattle and the 9th seed Cowboys, both at 8-6. And Dallas is a 5-point favorite in this one. And I had a lot to think about this game. And the more the week went on, the more I started to feel like, you know what? Yeah, I'm taking Seattle. I'm taking the 2-1 money line. I know they looked like garbage last week. I get it. Look, I don't. Which way did you go in that game, by the way? What did you think about that game, the Rams-Seattle game? What did you think about that game going in?
I ended up going with the Rams. Just too many weapons.
Yeah, so we both liked the Rams last week. So it's not like I picked Seattle and I still kind of believe in them. Look, the fact is, I didn't think they were going to win last week. Didn't like the way they played in Jacksonville. But in saying that, I just think that this group has got a lot of pride. They've got some key guys. They get KJ right back. Wagner says he's feeling a lot better. And you get Ezekiel Elliott back. I get that. But this is a very prideful group. And you've got this team, the Cowboys. You're talking about a group of guys who just really, they're not a championship caliber club. They're not mature enough. And I think we're already seeing that. I mean, Zeke spouting off about 200 yards is stupid, especially going up against guys like Bobby Wagner and the Seahawks. And then you have Russell Wilson after that horrible game last week. I look, if this is an even game, I don't know which way I go. I might even just say, you know what, I don't even know if I'll pick the game. But if I'm getting 2-1 with Seattle, with the embarrassment that happened to them last week, with everybody saying they're done and it's time to clean house, I'm going to go ahead and gamble that the Seahawks will respond this week and beat the Cowboys.
And one last ride?
Yes, correct.
I mean, I could see that. They're certainly a prideful group. It just depends on how healthy they are. I mean, they haven't been. Wagner says he's feeling better. That obviously is a game.
He's got to prove it. He's got to prove it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the whole point. People say a lot of things, and on both sides, really, in terms of spouting off at the mouth. It's just who's going to be healthier. And at this point, on paper, it's definitely the Cowboys. I mean, they've come through the fire with Lee now being back, and the offensive line, I guess, is intact except for maybe Collins, and he's the worst one of the lot as is.
Well, Smith's still a little banged up. He's definitely not 100%. And there's even word he didn't practice again yesterday, so they're a little bit, he'll probably play, but he's not 100%.
Yeah, I mean, but at this point, he's better than he was when he missed time, and
True.
They have him out there. And
True.
So to me, I think what I'm most interested in seeing is how fresh Elliott looks, because he obviously made a huge difference. Not being prepared to play the first few weeks of the season because he thought he was going to be suspended, and then once he got it going and got into a routine, he was among the best running backs in the league for a stretch. So, and then obviously had to serve the suspension. So how he comes back, if he comes back and hits the ground running, pun intended, then I think it's going to be a tough game for Seattle to go on the road.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and since I'm going to take Seattle to win the game, I'm going to take Seattle to get into the 6th seed. And by the way, wouldn't it be interesting if they did get into the 6th seed? They very well could go to LA to take on the Rams in the first game. So that could be interesting. Not that.
Yeah, a little revenge factor there.
Again, I don't know if I'd still pick them to win that game because the Rams won the game for talent reasons. They're just better right now than Seattle, and I'm not so sure Seattle would be able to beat them. But you never know. Let's see if we get to that point though, and we'll talk about it. But first things first, you got to beat the Cowboys or you're done. Okay, let's now get to what's our next game? Indianapolis, Baltimore, the Saturday games. Is that what we're doing? I think so, right? All right, let's go to the Saturday games. Indianapolis and Baltimore is the first game at 4:30. So you do have 2 NFL games on Saturday, and the spread's about 13.5 for Baltimore. So, look, it's a big number, but I'll give the number. Why not? Baltimore has done a pretty good job over this run, covering spreads, even touchdown spreads. Now it's 2 touchdowns, but that's okay. The Colts are just done. They've got injuries. They're just done. They're 1-8 in their last 9. They haven't covered 4 straight games. The Ravens 5-2 straight up, 1-1 ATS last 7. So this is the team that I was hoping we would see when I was talking about them about a month ago. We're starting to see it. They followed up that Pittsburgh loss and got rid of the Browns after a couple of quarters, like every team kind of does. So they did what they were supposed to do last week, won the game, going away. I just like the way things are going now with the Ravens. No reason to think that they won't annihilate the Colts.
Yeah, Colts have not topped 16 points 17 is their high over the last 5 games, and barely, all unders. We've got 6 straight unders. So against a team that really likes to keep things basic, I would say that that's the play here because I don't see the Colts getting more than 13 against a Ravens defense that's locked in. And then, to me, I think the cover's there in somewhere in the 27-13 area.
The Ravens, if they do get to the postseason, which I believe they will, again, a lot of it's going to depend on, look, if Buffalo pulls off a miracle and beats the Patriots, then it's all going to depend on Tennessee. So, but if Buffalo loses to New England, then you got to believe Baltimore's in great shape, no matter what Tennessee does, because they get Indianapolis this week and then home against Cincinnati next week. And I guess the only thing about that game is going to be, are we going to get we're playing one more game for Marvin Lewis this week because it's the home game? Or are we playing the one more game in the final game? Because that if the Bengals pull off we're going to win one from Marvin at home this week, they're going to get destroyed next week. But if they lose this week,
I don't buy that anyway. You know what? They've wanted to win for Marvin Lewis a playoff game, and they haven't done that either. So I mean, it's sentimental and nice. Obviously, he's been there a long time and probably has an affinity for a lot of his players and vice versa. But when you're spent, you're spent. And as we head into week 16 of a disaster, I don't think they have much left.
I mean, I'm a Raven fan, though. I just want the Bengals to win on Sunday. Just get it out of your system. That's what my point is. Get it out of your system. Pull one for Marvin, and then that's it. Then Baltimore will just. Then I feel a lot more comfortable about Baltimore annihilating you because you'll have already gotten it out of your system. But look, I like Baltimore to go to the postseason anyway, no matter what Marvin Lewis and the Bengals do this week. And they are going to be, I think, one of the teams. They're going to be one of those, I don't know if you call them a sleeper team, but they're going to be one of those teams that is, I think, going to have a lot to say in the postseason because they match up well historically with the Patriots. They have those great games with the Steelers, and they may have to play one of those teams in the postseason. So they could have a lot to say on who goes to the AFC Championship game or who wins the Super Bowl. So. All right, Minnesota Green Bay is game 2 on Saturday night, and no Aaron Rodgers, so that's that. Devontae Adams is out. They got other guys who look like Perry's not going to play. A bunch of other guys are. I mean, why would the Packers, with all these banged up guys, have him play? So you're going to have a lot of talented guys who just aren't going to play in this game. Hundley plays, so that's a bonus for Minnesota. They're playing great football right now. They can clinch a bye with a win and a Carolina loss. But they'll end up with the bye anyway because they'll beat Green Bay this week. They'll beat Chicago next week at home. So they're going to get that bye. But the point is, this is an important game for them to get the bye by next week, the latest. And 9 points, okay, it's a high number. It's at Lambeau, but there's no Aaron Rodgers. They're a banged-up team, both physically and mentally, and I have no problem giving the 9.
Yeah, I mean, Hundley showed improvement over his first start to the last one he made, where he got OT winning over Cleveland. But the fact is that he's facing a defense that has dominated really good quarterbacks and offenses that have been in sync, and the Packers have not been. So it's going to be tough even at home. And yeah, I mean, like at this point, unless Philadelphia gets into the NFC Championship game and Minnesota's stuck with them, as a 2 seed, Minnesota might be playing home games through the Super Bowl.
That'd be pretty funny.
They get the host, so they've got a shot. And the way things have broken for them this season, it might be a team of destiny. I mean, they really put blinders on regardless of all the obstacles that they faced at the quarterback spot and just ridden that defense, and it's been impressive to watch.
All right, let's get to that Detroit-Cincinnati game on Sunday. Detroit's a 4-point favorite in that game. And I've gone back and forth in this game that I'm just going to pass on this one because I don't know. First of all, I don't know who's going to be available for Cincinnati. Burfict could come back. A couple of the other guys could come back. Mixon will be back. So there's that. There's the Marvin Lewis last home game thing. There's me not necessarily trusting Detroit as a road favorite. They've still got a banged up offensive line. I have no idea if Swanson, Lang, or Wagner are going to play. And so that's just too much for me, especially when it comes down to emotion. I don't know what to expect out of Cincinnati on Sunday. And because of that, I don't trust Detroit enough for me to go, yeah, I don't care what Cincinnati does. Detroit's too good for me to care. I don't think Detroit's that good for me to feel that way.
I mean, I'm big on Detroit's camp this week, so I would say Detroit's too good for me to care what Cincinnati's doing, especially if they're DOA, and you referenced why. Well, I mean, getting Mixon back helps, but I don't see the Marvin Lewis last home game thing carrying much weight. And while the 4 is a little scary, because all you need to do is, if you're the Lions, is win the game. But the fact is, I trust Stafford in the fourth quarter getting the result that they need against a team with nothing to play for except sentiment.
Hey man, I hope so. I got Stafford's on I'm in the championship game in my fantasy league, and he's my quarterback because Carson Wentz went down. So I'll be rooting for him big time to have a big game. He doesn't throw a lot of touchdown passes because of his pretty weak touchdown receiving group. He could throw over 300 yards. So hopefully he has a big game. I don't know. I mean, that offensive line, though, still scares me. And that's why I was saying.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think, because I'm in the same boat as you. I got Stafford as one of my 3 options. I've got Keenum and Phillip Rivers in a fantasy championship. And I'm leaning towards Stafford and I've got Marvin Jones too, so that would be a nice link up.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'm
Bengal.
not making my decision on that until we get to Sunday morning and get those inactives along the offensive line.
There you go.
If the key names are playing, I feel good about Stafford and the Lions.
And also the Marvin Jones going back to Cincinnati thing. So maybe that'll help you in your fantasy team too.
Indeed. Yeah, he's been fairly consistent.
Yes, he's had a very good season. Yeah, just imagine how much better. See, if they make the right moves this offseason, they bring in a power back, and they also can find, unless Kenny Golladay takes a big step up, they have to find a Kenny Golladay type. They got to find a receiver with some size that they can count on, because Marvin Jones is much better suited to be a really good number 2. You know, I'm sick of these teams. I don't know if you notice, every time you watch like a Detroit game, like the announcer always constantly talks up Golden Tate all the time. It's like, I mean, do you watch these games?
Golden Tate is solid.
Yeah, but he's not like the way they keep talking him up. I guess you notice it. I mean, guys.
I do. I have noticed. For some reason, I watch a lot of Lions games, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
This isn't the Golden Tate from the Russell Wilson days. I mean, come on. You know,
I think that's where it stems from, though. You kind of get he'll always get you that extra yard. He plays with heart out there. I could see why but it's funny to hear you characterize it like that. Yeah, they sometimes do go overboard. There's Golden Tate overkill.
Yeah, I'd rather he be a very good number 3, but they need a number 1. But they're close. They're getting close.
Yeah, they have weapons. Look, the season's not over, and Galladay obviously had some injury concerns. I thought he was going to have a fantastic season.
Yeah.
Coming out of training camp, and then
he could be it. He could be it.
Eric Ebron scored touchdowns over the last couple of weeks, so they're utilizing him better. And then they got Abdullah back. So I mean, it's an offense that if the offensive line is healthy enough to play, I think they take care of business this week and give themselves a chance for next week.
Yeah. Go out and get yourself a nice big running back in the draft. All right, Jacksonville and San Francisco. Jags are a 4.5-point favorite on the road, and they are flying high right now. So still feel, as I said a couple weeks ago, they're going to win this division, and now it's pretty much done. They'd have to lose this game. Tennessee would have to win the game, and then, of course, Tennessee would have to beat Jacksonville next week in Tennessee. That's not going to happen. Jacksonville can clinch the South with this win, and then the Tennessee loss there, win or loss, either way. Jacksonville 7-1 last 8, 3-0 against the spread, straight up ATS as well. So they've got that going for them. This is their first road game, though, since losing in Arizona in late November. But still, this is a team that is a young team that has gotten better and better since that loss. Jimmy G and the Niners are 3-0 together. So that's funny. The Niners got 4 wins now after just 1. They were sitting pretty good for a top 2 pick. Now it looks like they're going to have to hold on for a top 10 pick. But look, San Francisco, look at a couple of decent wins. I get that. Primarily the Tennessee win last week. But this is a major step up in competition, the way the Jags defense is playing right now. And I definitely like the Jags.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be another case for the secondary, which is the best in football, to impose their will against a really depleted receiving core that Jimmy G gets to work with. I mean, Goodwin's your number 1 and the most targeted guy since Garoppolo took over, and he's actually stepped it up. But he's a track guy. He's still learning how to play the position. Trent Taylor in the slot has worked out nicely, but I don't really see him getting off against the Jaguars. So yeah, it could be tough sledding for them, I think.
All right, next game. Let's go ahead and talk about. Actually, we're going to go into the Monday games now. So we got the 2 Monday games here. We're going to start with Pittsburgh and Houston. That's the early.
Do you know why we're having 2 Monday nighters?
Probably just because it's a holiday. It's the only thing I could think of. They're probably saying, "Hey, it's a holiday. Let's go ahead and add the other game," because they didn't have the Thursday game. So they're probably just adding another game. I'm sure if this wasn't Christmas, they wouldn't. But why not take advantage of it?
I didn't know if there was an actual specified reason.
No, I don't think so.
On it this week.
No scheduling reasons or anything like that. Pittsburgh, look, come on. I mean, they're 9-point favorite in this game. That's fine. That's more than reasonable for me to take the Steelers in this one. Yates is the quarterback of Houston. They're just terrible. You saw it last week. Well, they're just terrible right now. They've got the injuries to guys like Watt and Watson. They're two best players. They're 1-6 since Watson's injury in Seattle. Only won the one game without Watson this year. I get no Antonio Brown, but I am going to say this with the Steelers, that for the first time this season, I have put money on the Steelers for the futures because they're now down at 7-1. And the reason is because with the knowledge, at least at this point, that Brown will be back, I don't see why I would feel worse for Pittsburgh after their performance against the Patriots. I feel better because they outplayed the Patriots. They lost the game. I know some people are going to have the idea of, yeah, but they just can't beat them. No matter what, they had them. They couldn't beat them. There's no way if they play the Patriots in the postseason, they're going to beat them. And I can kind of understand some of that. I really do. But they found a way finally defensively to beat the Patriots. That was one of the things they hadn't been doing. They found a way finally. So I think because of that, I have confidence that even if they go to New England, that they can beat them now. I'm not saying they're guaranteed going to beat them, but that they can beat them. And here's the other thing. I don't even know if Pittsburgh's going to play New England in the postseason. How do we know? Maybe New England plays Baltimore. And because Baltimore has good success against the Patriots, I wouldn't be shocked if the Ravens beat the Patriots. And if that happens, maybe the Steelers won't even have to play them. So because of that, I think the Steelers, I like them a lot better this week than I did last week going into the game, even though they lost.
Well, I mean, I think the fact that they probably will have to go through New England, I don't see the Patriots losing for the AFC Championship. The fact that game is going to be played in Foxborough instead of Pittsburgh, I think, is the deal breaker. So, and that's, I had the Steelers in this past weekend, so I'm a little bitter. But that's what was sacrificed by that call, which was the right call, but the wrong spirit of the rule, I think. And that ultimately, I think, cost them. I think at home, which last week's game was, Pittsburgh has a much better shot without a Ryan Shazier to beat the Patriots than they do going into New England.
All right. By the way, Joe Hayden looks like he'll be back, so he's going to play in the game. And Steelers 0-4 against the spread in the last 4 games. So that should come to an end on Monday. On Monday night, the late game on Monday night, Philadelphia is also a 9-point favorite against Oakland. So the state of Pennsylvania gets the 2 Monday night games, one in Houston, one in Philly. And Philly got the win last week. And look, I couldn't agree with Doug Peterson anymore when he said that there's no way that we're going to there's no way we're going to go very far if we play like that. And look, I'm sorry, but I know he meant a lot of other things like defense and this and that. But to me, that was like one of the most, I don't know, it's weird. It was like one of the most unimpressive 4-touchdown performances I've ever seen. I mean, when I saw Foles play in that game, I'm sorry, but there wasn't really a whole lot that I was like, oh, wow, that was a great throw. Oh, that was a great throw. Oh, that was a great play. Oh, man, he's looking really good. I didn't say any of that. I was just like, oh, okay, that guy's open. Okay, that guy's open. Oh, they're playing the Giants. Okay, that's good. He should be doing that. They stink. They should be doing that. I'm sorry. That did not give me any impression that they're going to be just fine when they go into the postseason because Nick Foles threw 4 touchdown passes.
Well, he's not Carson Wentz, so I don't know what you expected. It's true. I mean, at this point, I think I follow that you're saying that they're going to go as far as he takes them. I think that's true. So, I mean, if anything, I guess I agree with if your message is don't get too excited by seeing the big 4 spot next to Nick Foles.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, he's not Carson Wentz, and the Eagles are, obviously they would be my Super Bowl pick if they had Wentz, because right now it looks like they're going to hold on to home field, and it's looking good from that standpoint. But yeah, I'm calling the NFC portion of the playoffs wide open. Doesn't matter, who lines up where as far as home field, and yeah, they've got Foles pushing the ball downfield. That's going to be at a disadvantage at some point.
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about it, you could have the two top quarterbacks in the first round with Drew Brees and Cam Newton. And then the championship two teams, you've got Foles and Keenum. So that's the whole reason why you would think that that whole situation in the NFC is going to be wide open. As far as this game, 9 points, just no problem here. Raiders, we saw what the Raiders were. The Raiders are just an ugly team right now. Nothing goes right for them. And can somebody, in this offseason, can the offensive coaches get these offensive players together in all of football and explain to them, whatever you do not reach the ball over the pylon with the football. I will kill you if you do that.
It's an epidemic now.
Yes, because you can't do it because it's such a negative play for you. And I hate that rule, and it's terrible. I don't think the defense – see, I want the defense to be able to benefit from something that they did. But when the offensive guy just always reaches out and he fumbles the ball out of his arms and the defense really doesn't have anything to do with it, I don't know why the defense gets to – I mean, I understand why in a way. I get it. But I just don't do that anymore.
He was trying to get over the game of inches. He's going as fast as he possibly can to not get hit from behind. And then, you come up with a few inches short and boom, the ball goes out of the back of the end zone. And no over players want to see that when that happens.
Raiders are just 2-8-2 against the spread in their last 12 games. We don't know about Crabtree and Cooper. I'm sure Crabtree will play, but probably no Cooper. I don't see why you wouldn't play Cooper. Penn, meanwhile, is out for the year too for the Raiders. And the Eagles can clinch home field if Minnesota loses on Saturday night against the Packers, and then they beat Oakland. But that's not going to happen. Okay, Miami and Kansas City. This is definitely a game where you should have no problem running away with the Chiefs as a 10-point favorite against the Dolphins. They should blow out the Dolphins. And look, I mean, last week I was saying I don't know which way to go. Kansas City Chargers. And then when it was all said and done, I went ahead and took the Chiefs because I said to myself, you know what? I'm going back and forth here. And since I'm going back and forth here, I'm going to go with the Andy Reid against Anthony Lynn in a big spot. And I'm going to go with the fact that what we were talking about leading up into that game, which was, why don't I just listen to myself, which was the Chiefs just figure out a way slowly each week to get out of their slump. And they are doing that. And now they're back to being, and they will be, as they will win their final 2 games of the regular season, a hot team going into the postseason, and they will look more like the team that we saw earlier on this season. Now, whether they can finish that off or not, I have no idea. But they should just annihilate Miami.
Well, I mean, we'll see on Miami, but as far as big picture, you see Kareem Hunt reemerge.
Yes.
I went with the Chargers last week, by the way. So, he took that game over, and then beyond him, they have 2 other options that can take games over in Kelsey and Hill. So, weapons-wise, they absolutely should be respected. To me, the reason why I took the Chargers last week is that they were playing too well coming in.
Oh, yeah, sure. No, I get it.
To emphatically pull off a win the way they did, Kansas City's back on my good list.
Yeah, and look, the other thing that we've been saying for a long time now is he's got to get that ball down the field to Hill. And he's been doing that lately. You get the ball because
once what's his name, Andy Reid gave up play calling.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been night and day.
Yeah, so you got to be able to get that ball because nobody can cover Hill. I mean, once Smith has the option, which he now has, he's got the option with Nagy. Once you see he's got the option, you look over there and you see he's got no help. Any corner who has no help on Hill. All you got to do is have Hill run those fly patterns like he did in that play, and he ain't going to get caught. It's just not. I don't even know why defenses even run that defense against Hill. I mean, you're just holding your breath that they're not going to throw the ball down the field when you're doing that. All right.
I mean, there's too much to be concerned with if you're a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. That's what makes them dangerous. We'll see if they can continue walking through over there. Yeah, to me that was the most impressive performance of Week 15 was what Kansas City was able to do at home.
Yeah, the big thing though is they got to go on the road though in the postseason, and I just don't think that's eventually gonna that'll catch up to them, especially if they have to go to maybe Pittsburgh or to New England, and I don't know if they can win that game, but We'll see.
We'll see. They have the win in New England in their back pocket.
They
week
do.
one, but
they do.
Confidence factors. So.
Yep.
We'll see. I mean, to me, I think I didn't expect them to get that win. Now that they've gotten that win, looking at them with a fresh set of eyes again.
And look, the other thing too is that I don't look at this season as just one of your, and we've said this from the beginning of the season. This is not the same New England team from last year, and because they're not as good, this is one of those years that they can be beat. Will it happen before the Super Bowl or during? That's the thing we'll have to hopefully predict on the right week in the postseason. But that's why it can happen. And sure, we're not used to it, but it can happen. The Patriots can lose at Foxborough. They've done it before in the postseason. They've lost home games before. And so it just depends, could Baltimore do it? Could Kansas City do it? So maybe even Pittsburgh. That's why I feel like, this could be the year that one of these teams gets it done. By the way, the Dolphins have lost their last four road games by a combined 144-54. So Chiefs clinch the West with a win or a Charger loss. Chargers are in New York to take on the Jets. And you know what? I'm taking the Jets to win the game. I think it's the first time I'm actually calling for a Jet upset this year in this type of number variety. But the Jets continue to play well at home. I get it. Petty's playing. But they're 4-3 straight up, 6-1 against the spread at home. They showed last week against the Saints that they're not going to go away, that they're going to continue to fight for Todd Bowles. And I've said this for about a month now on the Jets show that I think Bowles deserves an extension, and I think he's going to get it.
You went 180 on that from where we were the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the season, they were looking pretty bad. They looked like they hadn't – and plus Bowles also was making stupid decisions like I saw him make last year. But once those first few weeks ended, there wasn't a week that went by that I said anything. I mean, that I noticed anything that Bowles did that was stupid. Like if they lost, they lost. But I didn't go, oh, what a dumb thing. Oh, I can't believe he did that. Not once. And to me, that's growing up as a coach. I think he's grown up. He's got a great staff now. It was a great move to bring in the staff he brought in this past offseason. And it's also a new culture in the locker room. And they're going to get rid of Wilkerson. That's another guy that needs to go. But as far as this game is concerned, I think the Chargers, I think the loss last week, that's going to hurt them a little bit. They go on the road again here. They don't usually. I wouldn't expect this game to be a blowout anyway. So I just get the feeling that the Jets, because they're not going to win in New England the week after, so I just get the feeling that maybe they got one win left in them, and maybe they'll be able to pull it out here against a Charger team that's actually coming in here a little banged up.
Yeah, they're banged up. To me, I've seen enough from them from a resiliency standpoint to trust them here. I think they'll stay in the playoff fight and get this win against the Jets.
Do you think they're going to make the postseason?
I'm going to stick to my guns on that because I said it a month ago. I like them to be 6. Now it looks like 5 and 6 are going to be open with Tennessee collapsing. So yeah, I like them to make the postseason.
All right, and keep in mind, because let's see, Lugit's out, Perryman's out, Henry's on IR, and just keep an eye. I haven't heard anything on whether Okung or Barksdale. I don't know if they're just missing practice just to rest, but I know they missed practice, so keep an eye on that. Let's move on to the other game of significance, and then there's 3 crap games. You've got Tampa Bay and Carolina. Carolina's favored by 10. No reason to not give up the 10, just like some of these other big point spreads. Panthers have won 6 out of 7 straight up and against the spread. This is a big game, of course. If they win, they clinch a playoff berth. Tampa Bay, I wouldn't expect McCoy to play again. I wouldn't expect David to play again. We saw what happened against Atlanta and Devontae Freeman when he doesn't play. So I would expect Carolina to just gut Tampa Bay. I like what I see out of Carolina right now because with Greg Olsen back, he's finally looking healthy. That's a huge weapon for that Panther offense. And the Bucs are the Bucs. So it's a road game. They're not going to have that Monday night crowd or that home crowd to kind of feel like maybe we should actually compete. So I expect Carolina to cruise in this one.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of teams that have been resilient, they've had a lot to deal with in Carolina and have really come through to where they're peaking now at the right time, where guys are getting healthy. Jonathan Stewart was garbage for the first few weeks, and now he's getting his job done. in short yardage and breaking out big runs and extending drives. And, we've seen McCaffrey become a stable weapon in that arsenal. So, yeah, I mean, and obviously Cam's a straw that stirs the drink, and he's done it really well over the last few weeks.
All right. And by the way, these two teams played on October 29th. Carolina won 17-3 as a 1-point dog, and that was with Winston. And the last 3 matchups between these two teams, the winning team has scored 17 points. So if you're an over-under guy, and I'm not, I guess you know what that means. Okay, Denver, Washington, Giants, Arizona, Cleveland, Chicago. I don't know if any of those games interest you. Keep in mind, Denver will be in their 4th road game in their last 5. They've won 2 straight. Simeon on IR. Osweiler might get the start. If Lynch is healthy, I don't know why he wouldn't, but that's Denver's call. Giants, big news with them this week is that they interviewed Dave Gettleman. They should hire Dave Gettleman. I think Dave Gettleman did a really good job with the Panthers. So I think they should hire him. Maybe they will.
He's going to get that job. I mean, yeah. I think that's a
no-brainer.
Poorly kept secret.
Yeah, no-brainer. And that's a good hire. Drew Stanton.
His whole staff is there, so.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just basically like moving operations to East Rutherford.
Yep. Drew Stanton gets to start for Arizona. I'm not sure if Williams is going to play the running back. And then, of course, Cleveland, because they're not going to win in Pittsburgh. So will they be able to win a game this year? Well, you know what? This is not a bad spot to take them on the money line at plus 230, because the Bears are the type of team with a rookie quarterback that if you're going to be able to beat somebody, maybe this is the team they can beat. So no reason to think this game won't be close till the end.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've actually gotten burnt on the Browns the last couple of weeks after fired off some snarky tweet about how nobody should ever bet the Browns, and here I go back in them consecutive weeks. So that's not smart on my part. It just goes back to the whole listen to yourself sometimes.
That's right.
But
that's right.
Yeah, as far as this game, there's an opportunity there to be had if they're gonna win a game this season. It's gonna be this one.
All right. So next week it'll be the final week of the regular season, and then we'll get you also, of course, ready each week into the playoffs. So Tony, it's going to be a fun. There'll be some NFL games, some college football games, some college basketball games, some NBA games. So you must really like this week. This might be a big week for you.
This time of year is always a grind, always something to do. So,
and of course,
you'll hang up the phone and look at the remaining college and NBA cards. The packed house. So.
All right, excellent.
Enjoy. Lots to do.
I appreciate it, Tony, and Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you next week.
Merry Christmas to you guys, and I appreciate it as well. Have a great one.
Excellent.
Have a festive holiday.
Awesome.
All right, man.
Thanks, Tony.
Bye-bye.
All right, that's Tony Mejia, and that is going to wrap it up. By the way, keep in mind that I am going to be hosting a college football bowl preview. Now, we do some of the other games. I know the bowl season's already begun, but I don't like doing the bowl preview show until I get an opportunity to see some of these bowl games, because being a trend guy, I like to get an idea of exactly what I'm seeing here. And we are going to do a special. Now, it's going to be at some point over the weekend, of course, at ourlads.com. So we will tweet it out when it's available at PrimeSN. So you can follow us on Twitter, PrimeSN. That's when we tweet everything out, including our content. We have our futures report that's out there. We've, of course, got our own picks, and then, of course, which are free on our end, because I ain't no professional handicapper like Tony. But yeah, we're going to have our college football bowl preview, and that's going to get you all the way through to the championship round. And I'll have the updated key injuries during the college football bowl season. There's a lot of big injuries going on, suspensions and injuries. Sorry about that. Hope I didn't destroy everybody. I had the volume up for Dick Enberg's thing, and I just went to play the music. That's better. So anyway, that will be airing at some point over the next couple of days, and I will go over all the key injuries, suspensions, and the reason, of course, why I'm taking some of those games, and just to update as much as I can for you, all the way, like I said, through the two playoff games on the Our Lads Football Radio Network. So for Tony Mejia, I'm Greg DePalma. Thanks for tuning in. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you next time. Control, commit the revolution, take its toll. If you could